Good evening. Let's call this special meeting of the county board to order. It's Tuesday, January 9th, 2017. The time is 6:03, 6:04, 6:03. Roll call, please.
Summers. Tinsley. Anderson. Clemens. Coert. Cruz. Esri.
Here.
Furtado. Goss.
Here.
Harper. Hartke.
Here.
King. Marsh.
Here.
McGuire. Mitchell. Patterson. Petrie. Rector.
Present.
Rosales. Store. Weibel.
Here, we have a quorum. Clerk, read the notice of the meeting, please.
Notice is hereby given that a special meeting of the County Board, Champaign County, Illinois, will convene on July 9th, 2018, 6 p.m. in the Lyle Childs Meeting Room, Brookins Administrative Center, 1776 East Washington Street in Urbana, Illinois, in said county for the purpose of appointing a person to fulfill County Board Member Diane Michaels' position, authorizing the release of RFP 2018-01, authorizing an addendum to the nursing home brokerage agreement with Marcus and Milchap for property brokerage and consulting services for the sale or transfer of the Champaign County Nursing Home, authorizing the County Board Chair to sign the proposed 58-67 Champaign County Nursing Home Subdivision Plat and related application, and the proposed zoning map amendment and conditional use permit applications for the Champaign County Nursing Home, authorizing the issuance of tax anticipation warrants concerning the nursing home, and authorizing renewal of loan resolutions concerning the nursing home, which said meeting shall continue in session from day to day until the completion of said business.
Thank you. Seek approval of the agenda. The addenda. Moved by Mr. Esri, second by Mr. Mitchell. Any discussion? See none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Anderson, would you be willing to move item number 5?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Would you be willing to move item number 5?
Yes, I would move.
Means you have to read it.
I will. Adoption of resolution number 2018-2, adopting John Clifford as County Board Member to District 2 to fill Diane Michaels' unexpired term ending 11/30/2018.
Is there a second? Second by Mr. Goss. Discussion. See none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Clifford, please raise your right hand. At the end of this statement, please say, "I swear," or "I do." Do you, John Clifford, having been appointed to the office of County Board Member in District 2 in the state of Illinois in the county of Champaign aforesaid, do solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Illinois, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of County Board Member in District 2 to the best of your ability?
I will.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Speech.
All right, thank you. We'll now have public participation. You have 5 minutes each, total of an hour. First up, Kathy Emanuel.
Hello, I'm Kathy Emanuel. I'm here, as you all know, I'm a member of the Champaign County Nursing Home Advisory Board. I just wanted to provide a little bit of additional information and update on the status of the nursing home, and with the hopes that you consider that as you are deliberating on the other issues tonight. You may already know that as a result of what we learned at the advisory board last night, every month the SAK has been in management has shown improved financial results August, September, October, November, to the point that in November it's a positive bottom line for the operations of the nursing home. this is a rare instance right now, but it's not a rare instance in the history of the nursing home. Prior to the state delaying the Medicaid applications, it was not only unusual, but it was usual to have a positive bottom line per month. And in fact, there were several years where we had a positive bottom line, creating a positive asset for the community and for the county. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that that trend is being experienced right now, that it's improved, and we have reason to believe that it'll continue to improve financially. Certain things have been put in place in terms of the staff that's been hired, costs that have been reduced that should continue to show that improved financial results. Secondly, clinically, there are continuing to be improvements. They've revitalized the respiratory care program. They just completed a survey, and while all the results are not issued, it's clear that there will be no major issues as a result of the survey, and there were no substandard findings. Again, improved survey result. Similarly, we just completed a meeting today. This is a meeting that was a follow-up on the recommendations of the consultants that the county hired, Ron Aldrich, to make recommendations about the nursing home. And we have been having a series of meetings with the hospitals to see what we can do to work collaboratively with the hospitals and the nursing homes, again, just as Ron Aldrich had recommended. That's called a Quality Care Task Force, is there to make sure that we're looking at ways that we can better meet the needs of the hospitals as they're discharging patients to nursing homes, and also just improving the quality of care as it's viewed by the hospital. One of the things that was discussed today is the unique opportunity that exists for 2 not-for-profit hospitals to do this with Champaign County Nursing Home, because it is a publicly owned and not-for-profit entity. The same opportunity doesn't exist with nursing homes that don't meet those criteria. So my suggestion is that I'd like to just offer another option for you to consider. Right now, there are a lot of positive trends. As those of you who are in the business of selling businesses know, one of the ways that value of a entity is calculated is to come up with a discounted cash flow. Right now, our discounted cash flow is improving, and it looks like it could continue to improve. So that means that as somebody calculates the value of the nursing home, if you were going to sell it, that would improve the value of the nursing home. You'd be selling it at what might be a better value, not only for the county, but for the community. So I'd like to recommend that if you're of the mindset where you do not want the county to stop being in, you want them to continue to be in the nursing home business, we're seeing some positive trends. There are some things that are in the works that will make this a better asset for the county to own and for the citizens of the county to experience. If you're of the mindset that you'd like to sell the nursing home, my recommendation would be that you let these positive trends continue to improve the value of the nursing home, so that if the county does want to sell the nursing home, they sell it from a position where they're likely to increase the value of the home, actually create a positive financial result and not increase debt for the county, and also have a stronger position for ensuring that we have a good buyer for the nursing home, not just somebody who will come in and take it off the hands of the county, but somebody who will come in and provide a really good asset for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Paula Luce. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. Lassie.
Okay. I'm here as a taxpayer of Urbana, and I know you're putting out the RFP for the Champaign County Nursing Home, and I think you need to go back to the drawing board. I think it's important to get community input for a resource that is so important to our community. Thank you.
Scott Tapley.
Is this on, or do I need to push a button? It's on. All right. Well, I'm Scott Tapley. I chaired the Save CCNH vote to sell committee during the referendum. First thing I'd like to do is welcome Deb Busey back, or maybe give her my condolences for coming back. And if there's anybody on this board or in this room that doesn't realize how grateful they should be that she is back, it would be very unfortunate and sad, because she's got a lot of institutional knowledge. She's extremely, I don't want to say qualified, she's just got extremely great at running the county's business and has been for a long time. So I guess the points that I wanted to make tonight is, first of all, it's just really unfortunate the misinformation that's continuing to be spread about this nursing home. The first speaker tonight, Kathy Emanuel, in my opinion, has absolutely no credibility whatsoever. Just because, you know, to sit here and say that the usual state of affairs of this nursing home, prior to the state getting $1 million behind over the last couple of years, was a profitable business, that is the height of absurdity. Just to run you through some history, in 2002, the nursing home had a $2 million fund balance. It's now approximately zero, so there's $2 million. The county bailed out the nursing home with $2 million, or $2 million, whatever the exact number was, but let's just call it $2 million. So there's another $2 million. The nursing home owes, I think the paper today said $2.7 million to vendors. That doesn't include the money that still owes the county. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands the general fund has paid of the bills. So there's $7 million right there. The state's behind about, what, maybe $1 million? So that's $6 million over the last 15 years that it's lost. So it hasn't been generally profitable. It hasn't been usually profitable. It has been losing money every year, almost every year, with a couple of exceptions, for 15 years. And it lost money before then. The reason when we were debating whether or not to have a referendum for the nursing home in 2002, the debate was, well, it's losing so much money, what should we do? Well, everybody said, well, if we had a newer building and we made it bigger, it could make more money, which is, of course, foolish. We now know in hindsight I was right. When you have a business that's struggling, you don't make it bigger, you should make it smaller, if not get rid of it. And so here we are, we've got a nursing home with 240 some odd beds. It's barely half full. Its prospects have been sliding all year. We had a referendum where keep the nursing home in business and give it another property tax subsidy, which is a good point I left out. It's lost $6 million over 15 years, including getting $1 million a year in property tax money, okay? So it's, as far as business revenue collected, it's actually spent $20 million more than it's brought in, okay, if it were a normal operating nursing home. So the other side continues to say that this thing is only having trouble because of Medicare and Medicaid payments. If the state of Illinois was caught up, it wouldn't be having any problems. That is a lie. That is just an absolute falsehood that Kathy Emanuel and Mr. Patterson and Mr. Hartke have been running around the county telling for a year now. And we've seen now, another year goes by, loses another several $100,000. So that credibility, that story, has zero credibility left. Zero. The only thing to do right now is to stop the dithering, okay? And Mr. Patterson's sitting there with that same smile on his face that Tony Fabry used to have. Okay? Just remember that. See how that turned out. Well, it's the
You
truth.
have a minute left. You have a minute left, Mr. Tapley. Minute left.
Yeah, well,
Counting.
so for the final minute, basically what we need to do is we need to stop dithering. You guys need to get off the dime and sell it. Don't wait for it to get better. Hope and denial haven't been working, okay? And just because it has 1 month of profitability, don't extrapolate that into eternity like it's everything's all in the clear now and it's going to be fine. Because we've been here, done that. One of the things that was said earlier is that, yeah, it's been, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. It's been net bad, but just because it's good doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. And the county's demonstrated for 15 years that it can't run a business, and it didn't just start getting good at running a business right now. So please vote to sell it like the voters gave you the authority to do. Thank you.
Mr. Belden Fields.
that kind of trash talking has an effect, I think, on everybody in this room, and certainly it's not pleasant to follow it. So trying to get out of the gutter and onto the issues. We're not just talking about dollars. We're talking about people. We're talking about the people who are presently residents in the nursing home, and we're talking about people who in the future might need that nursing home. As you well know, I am against the sale of the nursing home. The sale of the county home in Danville in 2013 resulted in immediate staff reductions through firings. And the nursing home has only 1 star, the lowest possible rating. If a sale is voted on, it would be better to sell it to a nonprofit group because the research shows that nonprofit groups run better nursing homes than for-profit nursing homes. And you can just Google that and get the research. It's all over the place. But Champaign County Nursing Home should certainly not be sold to a for-profit business whose average star ratings are fewer than 2, which is Champaign County Nursing Home's rating. What I'm talking about is a corporation that has lots of nursing homes in different places. What are their ratings? You should look at it because that's how people's lives are going to be affected. And it should not be sold to nursing homes that are part of a related party transactions group. If you want to see what that is, you can look at Sunday's New York Times, where there's an article by Jordan Rao, who is with the Kaiser Health News Service, which is a part of the Kaiser Foundation. And you can see that those nursing homes are well below nursing homes that do not have that related party transaction. In order to avoid the fate suffered by patients in the Vermilion County nursing home, there needs to be qualitative criteria for selling our home to protect the residents. Not for profit if possible, but no less than a 2-star average awarded to the homes in their various localities, and definitely no sale to related party transaction businesses. I still hope that the county nursing home will not be sold. I don't think it has to be. But if it is, the board just cannot go for the highest bidder. You have to demonstrate a concern for those residents. We're not, to reiterate, we're not just talking about dollars. We're talking about the fate of those people once that home would be sold. And it would be unconscionable of this county board to let that nursing home fall into the hands of people who will operate it below the 2-star standard that we presently have. I just don't see how you can do that. So all the talk about how much you could get, maybe you can get 11 million. You need to put in their criteria for how that nursing home is going to be run. Otherwise, you're going to wind up as the people in Vermilion County did, with the lowest possible quality nursing home. Thank you.
Mr. Stan Freese, or Freeze.
My name is Stan Freese, a longtime resident of Urbana, Champaign County. My wife and I both have 2 properties here, a home and a business. And I'm going to talk about, yes, the residents. Her mother was a resident of Champaign County Nursing Home in 2004. And on March 28th, 2004, she was feeding her mother, and a CNA came to her and said, "Sharon, have you seen your mom with her clothes off lately?" She said no. So she took her to her room. They took her clothes off. I've lost the pictures. I don't know where they are. She was black and blue from her belly button to her chest. She had contusions on her back. This happened 3 to 4 days before March 28th. They failed to inform us that this happened. We asked that she be taken to the hospital to be checked out. The head nurse refused to let us get an ambulance to take her to the hospital. She looked at my wife, pointed to her head, and said, "She's 99, she's going to die." Now, this is the way the Champaign County treats the residents. I don't know about now, but this was in 2004. We didn't sue. We didn't make a stink about it because we were afraid her mother would get punished more because of how she was treated then. We went in, after we got to the doctor, the hospital, the doctor looked her over, checked her out, put her on pain patches, said, okay, she can go back. They refused to send the ambulance back to get her. The doctor had to call to order the ambulance to come back. The next day, we went in to feed her mother again, and we were informed that Jeremy, he was the director then, wanted to talk to us. So they took us up to Jeremy's office. He threw his keys on the desk and told us, if anything comes out of this, I'll quit. And like I said, we were afraid to say anything. And we never said anything after that because we could have sued. We found that out. Lots of money, but it wasn't worth it to punish the other residents of the nursing home because of what they did to her mom. Her mom died September 16th that year. And they said she would have lived longer. She was 10 days short of 100. And that's why we are against the nursing home. If we could not have to pay taxes, we wouldn't for the nursing home. And in our business, we do not recommend to anyone to send any of their family members there. And we have a lot of customers in our business. And I don't know of any that do send their family members to the Champaign County Nursing Home because of what we went through. And I said, I wish I still had the pictures. They were very gross. And the doctor got mad. A month later, we got information that they'd pulled 5 records of county residents, her mom being one of them. We don't know how it got reported. The doctor must have. And the nursing home was fined $10,000 for no notification of anything ever happening to her mother. Later, we found out what had happened. They put her in a Hoyer lift, one nurse, by herself, and flipped her out onto the floor. You don't do that to a 100-year-old lady. I said she died 10 days short of 100. She was 99 when this happened. And that's why we do not support the county nursing home. And like I said, if we could, our business wouldn't pay taxes, and we wouldn't pay taxes for our home. Thank you.
Mr. David Laker.
I'm Dave Laker from Philo. I guess most of you know that by now. But I put my slip in tonight to speak, not knowing what I was going to say. That's probably not unusual, but as you know, I support, continuing support of the nursing home. It's meant a great deal to me and to my wife. And I realize we've got financial issues and management issues and personal experience issues that have just grown completely out of proportion. Mr. Tapley, who spoke first tonight, was a member of the board that caused the nursing home to be built. I think he voted against it, but this board as a whole basically built that nursing home. And a lot of the problems that the nursing home has originated in this room. And whatever decisions are made by this board, I hope they're well thought out and supported. One of the things about this board is you don't play very well together. And I think what's happened with the nursing home is partially caused by that. I've not been an adversarial position to this board or to the nursing home board. I'm still not adversarial to it. But the nursing home didn't make its problems, and neither did the employees. We've not, I use the term we because I financially support this board and the nursing home. So I can use we. But we've not done our job about managing a nursing home, because you don't manage a nursing home from the bottom up. You don't manage any enterprise from the bottom up. The bottom people may make it go and run, but it's got to have management from the top down. And there's a number of businessmen in this room that I'll bet won't argue against that. You've got good people over there, some of them not as good. That's typical in an operation that's got about 200 employees. But whatever that thing has become, it's kind of a thing that's just hanging around your neck now, and everybody wishes you to go away. And if it's sold to a public entity, why, so be it. But you won't be able to wash your hands of it. There's monetary restraints and all kinds of issues that got to be resolved. And this board has got to do, it just can't be in a position to want to wash your hands and go away, kick a can down the road, whatever you want to say about it. And I think we need a home. We probably need it even if it's a private home. There's things I don't like about private management and privately owned homes is because they're not accountable to anybody but the state health department and the regulations of the state. And one never wants to get Springfield involved in solving our problems, because part of the problem we've got originates in Springfield. So, all I can ask of you, and I'll ask it again, I'd like to have you people do your best to make this thing, I don't say solve it, but to make it come out for the good of as many people as you can, for yourselves, your families, or families of your friends, or even Sue. Thank you for your time.
Claudia Lenoff. Turn it back on, please. Sorry.
Good evening. My name is Claudia Lenhoff, and I'm the Executive Director of the Champaign County Healthcare Consumers. And we oppose the sale of the nursing home, but we also understand that it may come to be what is necessary. We feel like we don't know that yet for the reasons that Kathy Emanuel spoke about. But I'm here tonight to talk about the RFP that you all will be voting on this evening. We oppose the RFP as currently written. We think you need to get community input into that RFP. There are some minimum terms for sale, which I don't think the public has had an opportunity to weigh in on and should know about. And one item, for example, is that the minimum acceptable purchase proposal is $11 million. I don't know if the nursing home has been properly valuated. there are actually independent entities that will do evaluation of a healthcare facility and give you some information about what you should be able to expect for it. And I don't know if that has happened in this community. Also, there are items in the terms of the sale that require things like that the buyer would have to continue to operate the nursing home for 10 years. 10 years, and then after that, the obligation goes away. We've had this nursing home in this community for about 100 years in some form or another. We're guaranteed 10 years, maybe, and that's not even a guarantee, because private for-profit nursing homes do close, and they do close suddenly and without proper notice, and then sometimes they file for bankruptcy, and then there's nothing anybody can do. It's happened near Peoria, it's happened in Springfield, and it's happened in Decatur, and it was a crisis in all these 3 places in the fall of last year. There's also some minimum criteria regarding Medicaid beds, but it doesn't specify the percent of beds to be set aside for Medicaid, whether those are Champaign County residents or they are residents from wherever. It also specifies a number of years that Champaign County residents will get a priority in terms of being able to get accepted to the nursing home. But what about the residents with Medicaid? And then the other thing is, do people feel that those number of years are acceptable? We haven't had public discussion about this. There's also a public accountability provision. This is something that was talked about a lot, and even the firm that y'all have hired and contracted with to help do the RFP and so on, they assured you that if you had specific terms that you wanted to put into the RFP, they would help you find buyers who would abide by those. And public accountability was one of those. The only thing that's in here is a mention of that people are concerned about public accountability, and then it asks the prospective buyer, what would you recommend? No, we need to be able to state some minimum requirements for public accountability. There's nothing about the adult daycare. The last thing that I want to say, just for the benefit of the public, the reason that the Medicaid issue is so expensive or is so important is because any of us, at any point in time, if we need long-term care, may end up needing to rely on Medicaid, even if we've never had it our entire lives. Long-term care is expensive. There's a Wall Street Journal article that came out recently showing that 70% of people age 65 or older will end up needing nursing home care at some point or another. And a huge proportion, if it's long-term care, will have to rely on Medicaid. The reason you have to rely on Medicaid is because long-term care in a nursing home, there's very few payers for it, and if you end up going through all your assets and all your other insurance out of pocket, depending where you live, it might cost you anywhere from $70,000 to $80,000 a year to be in a nursing home. And that is why Medicaid is so important. And making provisions for ensuring, Medicaid patients is really important. And what I would suggest is that, like Paula said earlier, is that you go back to the drawing board on this RFP, have some community input or form a committee or something, and have some basic, minimum things that we can, that we can really try to find. And I don't know the $11 million amount. I don't know. I don't know if that's, a high number or if we're lowballing the nursing home. But you need to have an independent valuation of the nursing home. Thank you.
This is Jennifer Putman.
I left my walker back in. Beautiful. Thanks, escorts. My name is Jennifer Putman, and I have to say to Mr. Freese, I am aghast at what you shared with the people in this room. I was a member of the county board in 2004. I apologize for what your family experienced. I don't know if there's a way on this earth that we can make you whole. I hope that you won't have it rest here. Mr. Leakey's family has had other, David Leake's family has had other experiences, and I'm just very sorry for what you experienced. And I know that other county board members, current and former, feel as I do. Waking up this morning, I was very pleased when I turned on 580 WILL, and I heard Jack Anderson describe the county nursing home as an asset, and I said, way to go. It is, and I'd like to keep it a county-owned asset. In 2002, when the county board sponsored a Vote Yes Twice campaign, I was part of the county board members who voted yes. We asked people to vote yes twice, to vote for a capital improvement referendum and to vote for an operating subsidy to keep the nursing home operating at peak capacity and efficiency. I'm going to read from a campaign brochure that we circulated at the time. It goes, after almost a century of supporting our community seniors, the Champaign County Nursing Home now needs our support. That's why a majority of the county board members put the 2 nursing home referenda on the November 5 ballot. Both questions must pass to make sure our nursing home stays open and continues to serve Champaign County seniors for many years to come. Well, some candidates didn't support, Mr. Tapley was one of them. For political gain, some candidates have chosen not to support the nursing home referenda. They would rather see the nursing home sold or closed than support the cost of caring for our most vulnerable citizens. It seems as though not too much has changed in 2002. The county board is still not of one mind on the future of the nursing home. But I want to say how much I am opposed to the proposal to issue an RFP to sell the home. I think this is utterly a self-defeating move. If what we want is to raise the nursing home census and to end turnover, issuing an RFP, utterly self-defeating. If I'm researching area nursing homes as a good place for my mom or dad to stay, am I going to choose the county nursing home if I know it's for sale? If I'm a qualified, experienced CNA looking for stable employment, would I choose to apply at the county nursing home if I know it's going to be put up for sale? Please don't do this. Please don't defeat what SAK is attempting to do. Please do not defeat what SAK is being paid by county dollars to do. Please have faith in the county nursing home to do what it has done well for over 100 years. Regarding the idea that this nursing home has never made a profit, there's some operations of government that we don't expect to make a profit. We don't expect the sheriff to make money running the jail. We don't expect the animal control department to make a profit. And we don't expect nursing homes to make a profit unless they are profitable private nursing homes. I hope that we will keep our nursing home a public, nonprofit nursing home that operates for the good of our seniors and citizens and the people who love our seniors. And thank you very much for the difficult decisions that you make. Thank you very, very much.
Ms. Kim Hardin-Ware?
I apologize for coming in late. I thought the meeting didn't start till 6:30. This is a change of pace from the talk about the nursing
I
home.
want to point out there is a meeting following this. This is a special meeting.
Is that the one I'm supposed to go to then?
Well, it's in the same room after this.
Okay,
But you can speak now. You can speak now if you want to.
okay. On April 11th of 2017, the board passed a motion of a resolution authorizing the execution of deeds of conveyance of a county interest or cancellation of appropriate certificate of purchase of real estate. The motion was passed by a unanimous vote and allowed the sale of a strip of land to Brian J. Nastras of Barrington, Illinois. He's more commonly known as Nasty Joe. On December 1st in 2017, I received a letter from Nastras informing me that he owned a 3.75 by 110-foot strip in my backyard. Half of my fence, deck, pool are currently occupying that strip. I've always believed that this property was mine, and none of the professionals involved in my home purchase in April of 2006, or anyone since that time, have ever told me differently. Nastras purchased the strip for the minimum bid of $648. That figure was obtained from the Champaign County surplus auction sales results that were prepared on January 2nd of this year. Nastras wants me to pay him $3,200 to get it back. Members Anderson, Cowart, Cruz, Esri, Goss, Harper, Hartkey, Heiser, King, McGuire, Mitchell, Patterson, Petrie, Rector, Rosales, Summers, Tinsley, and Weibel. Did you even know what you were voting on that night? After receiving the Nastras letter, I visited the office of Dan Welch, the county treasurer. I was given his name by the Timberline Valley residents in Champaign who were also dealing with Nastras. I asked how something inside my fence came to be for sale and asked why I wasn't notified so I could purchase it myself. Mr. Welch informed me that they're not responsible for telling people, but as a courtesy, they do send out a postcard to adjacent property owners, letting them know that a strip is going up for sale. They said a postcard had been sent to my address every year, but they had the previous owner's names on them, and they noted that the postcards had been returned each time to their office, which spurred me to ask, why didn't you investigate that? Why didn't you come out and see the property? And I received shrugs and a big, I don't know. Interesting side note, though, the neighbors on the other side of the property also did not get a postcard. I have maintained the property in pristine condition without ever having a city ordinance violation filed against me, and this failure needs to be addressed. The current procedures need to be reviewed because they have failed this longtime Urbana resident, as well as another hardworking, home-owning, tax-paying family, the Moores, who live on Smith Road in Urbana. I'm seeking some help to find a way to rightfully possess this strip of land before Nastras sends his people to clear my trash from his property, as he's threatened to do twice now. It's paramount that the property in the city, township, and county owned by taxpayers in our community be protected from an obvious opportunist like Nasty Joe. I really appreciate you taking time to listen. I now know that this is a special meeting about the nursing home, and I apologize for changing topics. But I did want to leave this information with y'all. I've got pictures of where it's at in my yard and everything. And, I would love a further conversation at some point with anyone who can help me. He's saying I have to have it cleared by the 15th of this month. And I don't think I can do that. So who would I leave these with?
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Any other further public participation? Okay, seeing none, we'll close that. Moving on to item number 8. Ms. Furtado, would you please move this?
Adoption of resolution number 2018-1, authorizing release of RFP 2018-001 for the sale, transfer, or other disposition of the Champaign County Nursing Home in accordance with 55 ILCS 5/5-21001 of the Illinois Counties Code.
Is there a second? Mr. Harper, second. Discussion. Mr. Storr.
Thank you, Chairman Weibel. We have a 153-year tradition of caring for our elderly in Champaign County. The Poor Farm was established only 15 years after the founding of this county. Information provided for this meeting shows that the new managers, administrators, SAK, have increased the census, the revenues, and the net operating income. 2018 Champaign County budget includes sufficient funds to supplement revenues for the nursing home up to about $1 million. I was also curious why, how much it cost us out of pocket to keep the nursing home going over and above the tax levy. After considerable amount of digging and looking at spreadsheets and budgets, this is what it cost. How much is that?
40 cents.
40 cents. 40 cents. That's how much each Champaign County resident pays per month over and above the tax levy to support the nursing home. 40 cents. That's it. We're squabbling about 40 cents a month. It's not enough for me to say that I'm going to turn my back on providing dignity for the elderly of our community. Mr. Chair.
Further discussion. Mr. Storage, please turn off your microphone. Thank you. Mr. Hartke?
Yeah, one comment really. When we talk about the nursing home losing money, I don't at all see it that way. Maybe it's an ideological thing, I guess. I look at the results of where that money went. I look at the number of people who provided care, the number of families that have felt confident about their loved ones, the people who've taken salaries and pay to deal with the last moments of people's lives on a day in and day out basis. We sit here too often and look at the financial issues and act like that's the only thing that the nursing home does is either make a profit or lose money. It does an awful lot for this community. When people sit around and talk about, you know, we need to improve mental health in this county, well, what do you think the dementia unit over at the nursing home is doing? I just cannot see this as a loss of money. This is providing a service. I want to reiterate what's been said before, and I realize people have different opinions about what the responsibilities of government are, but we never, ever accuse the sheriff of losing county money, no matter what happens over there at the jail. We never accuse other departments that need budget amendments ranging from $1,000 to $250,000, some of it coming from fund balance. We never act like that's money lost and they need to be more accountable for that. But we do it at the nursing home. And of all the things that the county does, in my mind, providing care for the poorest, the weakest, the oldest, the most disabled people in our county is probably one of the best things we do. And when we talk about the number of people served, sure, you can say it's just 140 people, but it's 140 people on a 24/7 daily basis. That's a lot of service that's provided. And then before we vote, I would request that we have a roll call on this.
Ms. Kohler. Okay. For you, just for you new members, we do ask that two people, if we're going to have a roll call vote when it's not a roll call required, we ask at least two people ask for it. So if somebody says a roll call vote, so it's a second, it's not really a second to a motion. It's just, it's an informal, it's a rule we have. It's not a regular motion. Okay, Mr. McGuire.
Thank you. Nice to see you all again. Yesterday I was on a bus heading up to a mountain and actually got into discussion about mental health and dental care for homeless with some young person in Salt Lake City, talking about care for people, which is really what brought me to the decision to help support this RFP, because I think the health of the people, the residents of the nursing home is probably the most important reason to support the RFP. We, as been discussed, as a county, just don't have the expertise and understanding to run a modern nursing home. We don't understand the regulation, we can't deal with the state. We can't have supportive care at this nursing home. We don't have the resources to make the changes to the nursing home. We barely, I don't know how they made $30,000 this year. I guess they're on their accrual basis. The money's not coming in yet. They shifted when the money is in or isn't in. But a month ago, we were talking about cutting the county budget by $1.4 million. We were going to have to cut next year by $1.1 million. We're going to have to cut the year after that by $1.4 million. We're going to cut jobs in the county. I'm not sure how anybody would sit here and not understand that that's not a tragedy. We've had to move revenue from the county in the number of millions of dollars. We barely can support the nursing home, and that's over and beyond the levies that they're given to pay for the nursing home, including the building bonds. I remember a discussion that was brought up about the 2002 election. I remember this last election, we were told that we lost those, giving the nursing home any more revenue, but yet if we keep the nursing home, we're also told that we're going to spend we're going to shift upwards of $15 million to the nursing home. Our general fund budget cannot afford to do those things. We cannot afford to support the care that the people in that nursing home deserve from the revenue and the budget of the county board, and support our own required services for the county. We got to move the RFP. We've got to see what the private industry can do to support the nursing home. The nursing home's going nowhere. What's going to happen is someone's going to take over the nursing home. It's going to be in the county. Instead of rolling along between 130 and 137, it's not really increasing in census right now. A private company can come in, support it itself, maybe add the assisted living, and grow it to 240, increasing jobs, increasing the number of Medicaid beds. We'll have a stronger, better nursing home in the county, hopefully. But we've got to move it before the rest of the market takes over. Thank you. I hope you support the nursing home.
Mr. Patterson.
I actually agree with Mr. McGuire. There's not a single person sitting around these tables that knows how to run a nursing home. But there are 3 very talented women sitting in the front row right there that do know how to run a nursing home, and we hired them. So this whole idea of we don't know how to do that, well, none of us does that. They do that. That's how this works. They're a private company. You know, I just don't see the argument. The difference is that they are a private company of talented professionals who operate in daylight, who have public scrutiny, who have to come before a public meeting every month and answer tough questions. You don't get that at a private nursing home. So I don't want to hear this argument of, well, let's see what they do. We know what they do. We know what for-profits do. There's no question of it. The New York Times ran a story this weekend about it. How is somebody going to come in and operate a nursing home that we allegedly can't operate for a profit, and they're going to do that without a tax revenue from a property tax? How are they going to turn a profit? And that's not even a question either, because we know how they're going to turn a profit. They're going to cut staff. They're going to cut quality of care. They're not going to come in and do some private industry magic voodoo and just you know, cook the food differently and somehow the profit margin pops up. No, we know what they're going to do. We've seen it done before. This is not a question. This is not something that's up in the air. And I'm sick and tired of this discussion of losing money. Do we go, oh no, tonight we're going to lose $3,000 to the state's attorney's office, and all we got out of it was 3 expert testimony in 3 child abuse cases? You know, do we say, oh, we just lost $100,000 to the highway department and all we got was a resurfaced road? It's spending money on things. This is not like somebody just stole the money out of the general fund and, you know, It's just illogical argument. I'm sick and tired of it. And we need to start looking at this as a service that we provide to the community. You know, it's been proven that we're not going to see the same amount of care. We're not going to see the same amount of staffing. We know that. So I'm sick and tired of this. And if you support selling a nursing home, then vote yes on this. I don't want to hear any arguments about, oh, we just want to see what the market's going to offer. Nobody says, oh, I wonder how much my house is worth. I'm going to go hire a realtor and put up a sign and have open houses and showings and, you know, see what somebody's willing to offer me, but I'm not going to take the money. Nobody does that. So I'm sick and tired of these excuses. So if you support selling a nursing home, vote yes. But don't sit here and say this is about seeing what we can get.
Sorry, Mr. Ezra.
Oh, thought I had on. Thank you, Chair Weibel. Well, I'm in favor of supporting in favor of the RFP. And Mr. Patterson, you brought up the $3,000 for the 3 expert testimony in the 3 child abuse cases. That money and the COW agenda is coming from the general corporate fund. The way things are going right now, that general corporate fund keeps going lower and lower and lower and lower. What happens when we can't pay that $3,000 for those 3 experts in a child sexual abuse testimony? Now, I wish we wouldn't have to pay that money, because I wish their cases wouldn't have ever came about, because who wants to hear that there are cases like this? But it's a fact that we live in a world that has this type of people, so we have to pay that money to prosecute people who do that. And that ties in, too, with the idea that the sheriff loses money. Well, yeah, we have to have a sheriff's department. We have to have police, because there are people like this in the community and society as a whole that need to be locked away. Some of them for a long time, others at least until their cases are determined. So the idea that, and we have to provide that service. It's a mandated service that we provide a sheriff's department, that we provide jail. If that fund balance isn't there, where's the money going to come from for this expert testimony in these types of cases? I'm tired of hearing about the idea that public or nursing homes provide such bad care compared to private or nonprofit. I would assume that Champaign County Nursing Home is a nonprofit. If that's the case, why has there not been a waiting line of people knocking on the door since that new building was built, saying, let us in? Your care is so much better. I want my parents in here. I want to be in here. That building has never been full since it's been built. If the care at a not-for-profit is so much better, the day that building opened, it should have been full. Now, does that mean absolutely 243 every single day? No, but it's never been, I think the full, maybe, I don't know. Let's say 15 empty beds, but it has ever been that full? I don't believe it has. So the idea that the care is so much better, how are the other homes getting their patients? Their families are putting them in there, or some of them are actually probably electing to go there themselves because they know that they can't take care of themselves physically. Maybe they're maybe still mentally with it, but they can't take care of themselves physically, so they mentally are with it, and they decide, hey, I'm going to go over, say, up to Gifford. You're telling me that they're knowingly, oh, Champaign County Nursing Home is so much better, that I'm going to pay more because Champaign County Nursing Home has historically been, at least not the highest, but I think it's historically been pretty much near the lowest per day cost in the county. So couple that together with supposed better care that is so much better than the public, and that nursing home wouldn't be full from the day it opened. There's good and bad at both public and private. You can find good and bad examples at both. Public's not perfect, private's not perfect. It's for anyone and everyone to decide for themselves. The voters have decided, they've had their input. They said no more taxes 2 times. One time was a sales tax. The second that was for general or for facilities that would have helped the nursing home. The second time was for a property tax increase that would have specifically helped the nursing home, and the public said, no, thank you. 40 cents a day.
No,
a month. Then get together, someone get together and call for a big public fundraising, and let's see if it happens, and we'll keep the nursing home going. I don't see anyone stepping up and doing that. We've never heard a budget that says, do this, do that, do this, and in 2 years even, things will be turned around and it'll be totally self-sustaining. No. It's been 3, 4, 5, 7 years. The property tax, the projections for it were, what I remember, at the best, 7 years. And the nursing home starts losing money again. It's time to issue the RFP. We don't know what we're going to get for it. It's basically the same as an auction. The $11 million that we have priced, it may be high. We don't know. It may be low. If it's low, do you think that the people are going to just bid the minimum and not, oh, I'm company A. I know that the nursing home is, I'm just throwing this out there, I know the nursing home is worth $20 million, but I'm going to bid the minimum at 11 because nobody else is going to bid $20 million what it's actually worth. No, you're going to bid what you think it's worth to you as an entity, as a corporation, whatever it may be. So the idea that that 11 million, I believe, is what the broker says it should roughly be worth. It's a number that I believe the county officials working with the brokerage said it's a number that we can live with. It will basically pay off most of the debt, and we can live with that number as a minimum. We may get offered more for it. We may get offered less. We may get offered right at. And we don't know how many offers we're going to get either. But we need to get off our rear ends and move this RFP forward. Thank you.
Ms. Cruz.
Chair Weibel, I was wondering, could we walk through a little bit of the RFP and like how some of the terms did come to be? Like, I don't know how we decided on like the 10 years or 50% Medicaid without specifying location. Just kind of curious on how it came to be.
Sure, go ahead. Ask any questions you want, we'll try.
Okay, so is there a specific reason why 10 years is the term for a buyer to maintain?
I recall, I think that's sort of standard operating figure.
Okay. Are there any RFPs that are released that have a longer period of time?
I can't answer that question.
Okay. And then was it just standard practice that 50% are Medicaid without specifying what location the patients are from, or is
Well, you can't specify where they're from.
Okay.
That's illegal.
Got it. And then for the public accountability for minimum requirements, are there higher standards that we expect to put in there?
Well, that would come into process when we review the RFP, because we will have a committee that would do that, and the county board would set standards, and that's when that would be decided.
Okay. And did the RFP boilerplate language come from the broker?
I would think so. I mean, I don't know where else it would come from.
I was just curious. Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Furtado?
So I just have a few comments. The first, I wanted to specifically say, to express my appreciation for Kathy Manuel. I've had the opportunity to sit in many meetings with Kathy, and the idea that somehow she's a rah-rah, pie-in-the-sky optimist, I actually kind of find laughable. She often provides sharp and incisive opinions about the nursing home and its operations that I found personally very valuable. And I really, frankly, did not appreciate the member of the public who, for some reason, chose to speak about her in that way. So I just wanted to say from me, thank you for the work that you've done, the incredible amount of volunteer work that you've done on behalf of the nursing home, and you did not deserve that. More specifically, in the great debates about the nursing home and the budget, in one of the smaller group meetings that I was in, one of the elected officials looked at me and said, "It's time to get beyond philosophy, and we need to act." And that thought really has sat with me. I spent a considerable amount of my break and looking at various research about nursing homes. And my new role, or maybe perhaps my new role with the Finance Committee, I take it very seriously. And I take the general fund and making sure that it remains solvent for the kind of things that Mr. Esri was saying very seriously. And I've been thinking a lot about, well, what then is my philosophy, and then how do we practically apply that, right? And I do think at the end of the day that philosophy matters. And some things that are not things that I'm willing to compromise on are things like public transparency and valuing the resources that we have. I'll be honest, we act as if we're all rowing together for the positive future of the nursing home, and that somehow we've fallen short. That's not true. We have half of a board that is rowing in one direction and the other half that's rowing in the other, and then we all throw up our hands and wonder why the canoe is going in circles. I'd be super curious to what it would look like if all of us were supporting the nursing home. Another thing that I value is paying our staff a fair wage. And one of the consistent things that I've read, including from research sent to me today from a member of my caucus who I believe is going to vote for the RFP, and I guess maybe this research was supposed to persuade me in a different direction, is that for-profit nursing homes, the way that they make a profit is by exploiting their workforce, and it's that simple. Some of the articles I was reading were celebrating the workers giving back benefits, giving back salary, and these are some of the most vulnerable workers in our county. These workers, I've talked about this before, are predominantly women of color. It's one of the most dangerous jobs in terms of industry consistently. And the idea that we're going to just see how much the market could bear exploiting them. I mean, that's what the vote is. That is what the vote is. If you vote yes to sell the nursing home for profit, there's lots of other things that you consider in terms of care. And I will agree that there's differences of care both in profit and not for profit. But one thing that's clear, if you're voting for a for-profit nursing home, you are voting to exploit staff members that are currently part of our county staff. There's a lot of other things that I could talk about. But I think that this idea that somehow we have to choose between financial solvency of the county and selling the nursing home is inaccurate. We could, if we all work together, come up with actual solutions. I just think that we haven't been willing to. Mr. McGuire talked about the impact of the budget that we didn't even fully discuss as a board. So this idea that we would have had to lay off staff, we never even had a real conversation about that. We never actually went line by line and saw what staff, and I'm gonna be honest, I looked at the numbers for a very long time and I still do not believe we would have had to lay off one single person, and nobody has proven to me that we didn't. You could talk when I'm done, Jim. So I'm gonna vote no for the RFP. And I don't think that you have to choose between philosophy and being practical. And that's all I wanted to say.
Mr. Goss.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to talk a little bit about facts. The facts are that nursing home income or accounting is accrual-based. The facts are they've got a cash problem. The facts are they owe $5 million that's not addressed in their own budgeting. The facts are they said they'd be at 144 by January 1st, 147 by the end of the year. The facts are they're not there. It's a little disheartening to see the facts that it costs us about $100,000 a day to operate this county, and we're down to $3.2 million. Do the math, 32 days. That's what it is. We're down to 32 days because we've given away $2.5 million. Yeah, we've got some tax revenue coming sometime in May. We probably got some here at the end of the year. But 32 days is all the money. So Mr. Store 40 cents, great. I'm going to lay out a fact that it takes us 100,000 a day. That's 32 days. That's all we've got to operate. So we're going to take care of 140, 150 employees at the nursing home. We got to pay them. We got to pay our employees here too. I mean, our payroll here matters just as much as it does over at the nursing home. The facts are they've got a cash flow problem. At no point have they demonstrated in any budget, and I've been through their budget line by line by myself. I spent an hour and a half with the folks from SAK. At no point in the next 4 years are they going to pay back any debt. They have, if you look at what we will talk about in the cow, you'll look, yeah, they show a profit, but all they're doing is they're increasing their accounts payable. Their accounts payable are running away with this. Look at there's a chart in here, there's a color graph. Some people numbers don't mean much. I get it. Some people are more visual learners. And that chart goes straight up. The slope on that line is unsustainable. You can't continue to increase debt and just say, well, we're just not going to pay that. We get that all the time from our folks over at the management firm. Hey, we can't pay this month because we've got to hold that money back to pay other things. We're not getting people paid. They've got a cash flow problem. Even if they could turn it around and make it break even to, let's lose 100 this month, make 100 this month, it's break even. That doesn't do it. There's no possible way to pay this $5 million back. And the fact is, it's not a mandated service. It's just not. We're mandated to provide a jail. We're mandated to do things. We're mandated to take care of roads. We're mandated to do tax things. We're mandated by all kinds of services. I'm sorry, the nursing home is not one of them. That doesn't make it any less special. But the facts are, I don't think that private ownership is going to make it any less special either. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Other discussion? Ms. Petrie.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. First of all, I have, it's been put on the public record that people know how I'm going to vote up or down on the sale of the nursing home. I have not made a decision, and I want that clear right now. There are many pieces of information I don't feel have been adequately put before us to make a decision one way or the other. And that is one of the reasons that I think it is in our best interest as a county board to put forward the RFP. I put out a message on both Nextdoor and Facebook today to get some input. Nextdoor reaches over 5,000 people now, the way we're connected throughout the county. The responses I got were sell the home. I did get 2 responses, and now that Ms. Lenhoff has spoken, I understand them better. And that was 2 responses said that we needed to have more public input on the RFP. That confuses me a little bit because that RFP has been up on the county website for months We've been talking about it for months. And if people were concerned about how it was put together, what's in it, more explanation about what's included in the RFP, there have been many occasions to have brought those questions before us, and I think it's important that they are brought before us so that the public better understands how that RFP developed and the reason why we were counseled in certain ways by a broker and why 11 million is a threshold mark for accepting whatever might come before us, and that was done by the broker through the experience of doing this kind of work throughout the United States. So I am very disappointed to hear people make that statement, and I did respond to the people who sent messages to me reminding them that it had been up for some long period of time. Back to the argument why I think it's important for the RFP to be launched. And I don't think I'm not narrowing it only to the importance of the RFP being launched. I have listened for months to people come before us and say how important it is for that nursing home to stay within the county. I am ready, willing to hear the arguments, how can we accomplish this? And nobody yet has come before us with any budget that will show us if we hung in for 18 months, if we hung in for 24 months, exactly how that home will turn around. And I would be willing to look at it at 6-month increments and take a test. How are we doing up to this 6-month point? I would really like to see that, and we have not had that put before us. And so how can we make a judgment that we blindly are going to say, yes, we're going to stick with the nursing home, come hell or high water, yet we don't know what that means? And it's the same way if we are having all this discussion about whether it should stay in the county or be put out there to see what other people think about our nursing home. And if we don't do it, we can sit here. Mr. Patterson is tired of the conversation. I agree, I'm tired of the conversation, but we need more information to move this conversation forward, and we're not doing that. So for us to sit here and say, no, we are too afraid to put out an RFP to find out what's out there. I don't see an RFP saying I'm voting to sell this nursing home at all. I see that as telling me, here are some possibilities, and I hope some other people come forward with budgets that will show us how can we move forward and keep this home within the county, and how long will it take us to do that, and what are our indicators along the line where maybe we have to come back and make a tough decision on whether we're hitting those markers or not. And then one last thing, the competition for beds in nursing homes is extremely difficult right now. Champaign County has 60 overbedded. That term just really is interesting, but anyway, that's the terminology. We have too many beds in our county. So even if we were out there marketing from one end of the county to the other and doing the best possible job that we could do, we still have too many beds in the county, so it's a tough hole. Plus what is happening with the assisted living market now, and that is taking away 3 subpopulations that in the past would have been going to nursing homes. So it's a very tough market, and those are the things we should be looking at and having conversations about. Thank you.
Let's go with people first time. Mr. Harper.
I just got a few things I want to say, and a lot of it goes along with what Mr. Goss had to say. Coming from our financials offices here in the county, as of January 5th, total obligations, $5.5 million to vendors in the county. This is an increase of $376,000 from the previous month. General corporate fund balance, as Mr. Goss said, is down to $3.2 million. By statute and policy, we're supposed to have, what, a 12.5% fund balance, which is over $4 million. I understand, Mr. Patterson, I mean, it's terrible, but I will not sacrifice the rest of this county for one part of it. This county has to pick up its pieces, fix things, and keep moving forward. And I hate this part, what I'm going to say next, because I hate comparing other counties.
I could turn off your microphone.
Yeah, you probably would do. But anyway, I want to just do a little comparison with McLean County. Geographically, very similar to Champaign County. Highly agricultural, twin cities, a major university, successful businesses. Their overall tax rate is very similar to Champaign County's. They have 35,000 less people than Champaign County. They have roughly a $15 million fund balance. And they have a county nursing home, which is now losing money. And in their comments are now proceeding to look at selling it, because in their comments they say, we do not want to be like surrounding counties. I wonder who they're talking about. Thank you.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. You know, I do appreciate all the county departments, and but no departments do dominate the discussion at the county board. And I know that we, as 22 members, do need to make some hard decisions. The RFP is one of the steps, but I really don't want to see us become a fake seller. I don't want to see it built with too many conditions that no buyer comes out of the woodwork. So I think that's really important. But beyond that, looking at the News Gazette and some of the headlines and a little history, tough nursing home decisions ahead for the county board. The nursing home is gushing money at a rate of $100,000 a month. County board members are asked for another $250,000 from the county general fund to keep the business afloat. That's on top of the $328,000 transferred already from general funds this fiscal year. That was February 25th, 2007. Low numbers, a problem for the nursing home. The average daily census was 179.8 in July, a slight improvement from June of 178, and that was September 18th, 2009. The county ponders what to do with the nursing home. This was from April 13th of 2008. County nursing home loan receives okay. County board voted to lend the county nursing home $775,000 on Thursday night. And these were comments outside of the meeting, but former members of this board said that the nursing home administration is like addicted to drugs, that the nursing home sustains this sustainability, and they were compared to payday loans on expensive propositions that they can leave the borrower continually in debt. County board considers bank loan for nursing home cash flow. That was from October 8th of 2013. County nursing home hits financial skid, and this was, but Monday's census was 190, and we're starting to see it really struggle, he said, and the average census is now between 190 and 195. Champaign County Nursing Home plans to lay off 27, and that was from May 3rd of 2008. So you can see that the members sitting around this table have a difficult decision, but we're not new at the game when you look at the history of what's taken place. We're seeing the same, any of those articles could have been written about today, current events. So the RFP, the voters of Champaign County, the last election, they said no to more taxes, and they've asked us to find a way to dispose of the nursing home, whether it's a sale or lease. So with respect to that, I'm happy that we're here this evening to discuss this, and hopefully we can move forward with an RFP. Thank you.
Mr. Marsh.
Thank you, Chair. First, just because it's been on record enough times that we made money in the month, I think the good folks at SAK, which we do appreciate your hard work, and you've done a lot of good things. I think everyone would agree that if we look on a cash basis with where we are with our debt and our payment to vendors, we certainly were at a loss basis, and so there's no reason to say, well, if we accrued this and didn't pay this, we'd make money. That's not how it works. It takes money to pay bills, and it takes money to live. So that, on record, we did not make money. We did lose and continue to lose, although less. And to the comment that how does a not-for-profit make money without just slashing the people? The first thing they would do is spend $600,000 less on a consultant to run it. They would lower their expenses. They would lower their food costs. They would quit paying 14% to some vendors that we were paying for interest because we're behind, and that's what we're paying them so they don't litigate against us, which is amazing. They would probably come in after buying it and spend a couple $1 million to make it a transitionary home so they could bring people in earlier and bring them through their whole life. That's the new modern method, or the new method of keeping people in a home these days, and they would have to spend money to do that. And I did check, even by transitioning some beds, they could still keep their Medicaid beds as the number unless they did give them up, which I can't imagine they would do. Wouldn't be in their best interest to do that. And they would raise the population, and that would be the most important thing, that they'd raise the population, because cutting expenses only goes so far. And again, SAK's done a good job of cutting a lot of expenses into their credit, but they would raise bed usage. And one of the ways that they raise bed usage in the best way is by making it competitive with the market. And we're not competitive with the market. We don't have the $2 million to spend on the home to make it competitive to the market. And so I think it's really important to look at that from a business sense, from the point of slashing the nurses or some of the people there. I think it's that benefits are a question because of the cost of some of the benefits, but the cost of a nurse or a CNA is a market competitive position. If you don't want to turn those people over, you have to keep them. And so somebody coming in, it's not in their best interest to try to get rid of those people because they're so difficult to get. The lowest level of the people, the close to minimum wage people, they transition so quick through the home anyway, they're not receiving the long-term benefits. But the people that are receiving long-term benefits, so the people that are staying, are competitively paid people, and you can't just pay them less. It's not possible. You won't keep them. After talking about the financial stuff, what was near and dear to my heart, and I think to some of the people here that have spoken tonight, I agree with them. It really is about the care of the people. I had a gentleman over here kind of touched my heart when he talked about his relative, Grandma Maud, lived to be 100 in a nursing home in the Champaign County nursing home, and she experienced a similar dilemma, although I won't go through that. But I do believe that we could get better care from a private home than we're giving them today in this home. So I think care is important. I think that we are not able to give the best of care because we can't compete with the marketplace in providing the amenities and the transitionary living that needs to be provided to get people to come to your home. Passy, the comment that we're 60 beds over in this county is an interesting one because I know of 2 nursing homes less than 5 miles from here that have waiting lists. And why is that? It's because they perform to market needs and values of the people putting people in the nursing home. And that's why they have waiting lists to get in their homes. We're just not able to perform that. I sincerely believe that we cannot, in our current situation, without spending a lot of money, provide similar care based on even the configuration of our home. Take the people out of it. I think the people are great. I think they're just not, the way our home is set up, we're not competitive with the market and we can't provide the same care. With that, I'd say I support the RFP and I support caring for these people and taking care of them in the best way they can so they can transition through their lives as best as they can. One final comment is that this isn't just about saying, let's spend more money in the home, let's fight over spending more money. This is a choice of where we spend our money. And again, we all look at things that are most important to us, so the last thing I'll say is that I think we can best affect our county by affecting the people that are going into our institutional systems that are younger and that have roadblocks that they can't overcome, and we can spend zero money on those programs now, zero money because we don't have to spend, and so what we're doing is we're pulling the rug out from people, young people that should be avoiding the juvenile system, early incarceration, and systems that put them in the process forever. I would say that's where we should spend our money. But again, it's a choice. But we don't have a choice to even think about that stuff that really can impact our future 5 years, 10 years to come, and affect our schools, our courts, our jails, and our police officers, for goodness sakes. Those are the folks we need to start with. But again, we are making a choice by doing nothing to do nothing for them. That's the choice we make. So it's not let's spend more money in nursing home. It's let's make a choice for this or that. And that truly is what it is. If you see from the fund balance, we can call it anything we want, but that's a choice we're making. And I'm for a choice that puts a nursing home to private care or nonprofit care that will better take care of the residents there and putting us in a position where we can do better things for the county future. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Rector.
Yeah, just for the record, I've known Kathy Emanuel for about half my life and Dave Laker for almost that. We might be on a different page, but I have the utmost respect for both of you, so I just want to say that publicly. I heard a speaker Monday morning, and again, these are not easy decisions, and he brought it all down to simple math with budgets, state budgets, national budgets, Champaign County budgets. The simple math is the nursing home model is not working. This isn't rocket science. There's a lot of smart people here. We can have our philosophies, and I love those philosophies. My mother's 95. She turned 95 yesterday. This isn't about closing down the nursing home. The best way to take care of those people at the nursing home is to pass this RFP tonight and move forward. Thank you.
Further discussion? Okay, we'll go second times. Ms. Petrie, go ahead.
Mine's just quick. Mr. Mitchell reminded me, and he didn't quite touch on this, but again, I think this is the 6th time it'll be on the public record, and that is what our former treasurer reminded us, Dan Welch, that is, as to the financial straits of the old nursing home when the 2 referenda were put out for the public. And he reminded us that the major maintenance fund was at 0. The depreciation fund was at 0. And if I'm remembering this number correctly, and I may be wrong on this one, there was really only $28,000 in the coffer at that time above paying for the expenses at the home. And that really has continued to be a challenge even with the new homes. So all of our conversation about money and finances, this has been more than just the 10 years since the new home was opened and fully occupied. It was going on, and that, if I'm again remembering the date, I believe Dan Welch said 1998. So there's a lot of what they say, that we are having these conversations and think things will change. What we need to really change is our manner of conversation and a manner of our paradigm if we really are truly wanting to focus on how do we get this nursing home to a sustainable position. Thank you.
Further discussion? Seeing none, let's have a roll call.
Here we go. Okay. Summers? No. Tinsley?
No.
Anderson? Yes. Clemens? Yes. Clifford? Yes. Cowart? No. Cruz? Yes. Esri?
Yes.
Furtado?
No.
Goss?
Yes.
Harper? Yes. Harkey?
No.
King?
No.
Marsh?
Yes.
McGuire? Yes. Mitchell? Yes. Patterson?
No.
Petrie?
Yes.
Rector? Yes. Store? No. Weibel?
Yes, motion passes. Next one, please.
Adoption of Resolution 2018-3, authorizing addendum to nursing home brokerage agreement with Marcus and Millichap for property brokerage and consulting services for the sale or transfer of the Champaign County Nursing Home.
Second by Mr. Ezra. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? No. Motion carries. Mr. Ezra, would you do the next one? This is the NELUC item, really, or it came out of ELUC originally?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I move adoption of resolution number 10139, authorizing the county board chair to sign the proposed Champaign County Nursing Home subdivision plat and related applications.
Second by Mr. Anderson, and Mr. Hall has graciously provided 3 copies of all the stuff right here. Is that correct, Mr. Hall? So if anybody here would like to take them with them or examine them right now, we have them here. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? No. Motion carries. Ms. Furtado, would you take the next one, please?
Adoption of Resolution Number 10187, authorizing the issuance of a $1,076,760 taxable 2017 nursing home purposes tax anticipation warrants in anticipation of the collection of taxes levied for the year 2017 by the County Board to the County of Champaign, Illinois, for nursing home fund purposes, and the sale of said warrants to Hickory Point Bank and Trust.
Is there a second? Second by Ms. Petrie. We do have to have a roll call for this discussion. Ms. Petrie.
Since we have our new auditor with us this evening, do you mind sort of running through these numbers, what of this amount of 1 million plus goes to FICA and what would go to IMRF, and does that use up basically the full amount, please? Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a little unique. I used to sit against that wall, and now I'm back at it again, so it's kind of nice. At this point, which will be part of your packet for the next meeting, there are some numbers that I have to date. One is the IMF fund, which is $461,637.11, and the Social Security fund of $445,261.63. Those are 2 items that will $445,261.63. Those 2 items. There is a third item that also could be considered, which is the self-funded insurance fund, and that actually is as of 16. The 17 insurance fund has not been billed yet and won't be billed till the end of this month. That number is $244,910,077, and if you do the math, there isn't quite enough to do all 3 at the same time, so there could be some juggling with that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Further questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Summers. Yes. Tinsley.
Yes.
Anderson. Yes. Clemens. Yes. Clifford. Yes. Cowart. Yes. Cruz. Yes. Esri.
Yes.
Furtado. Yes. Goss.
Yes.
Harper. Yes. Hartke. No. King.
Yes.
Marsh.
Yes.
McGuire. Yes. Mitchell. Yes. Patterson. Yes. Petrie.
Yes.
Rector. Yes. Storr. Yes. Weibel.
Yes, motion carries.
Adoption of Resolution Number 10188, authorizing renewal of loan resolutions numbered 9892 and 10097 from the Champaign County General Corporate Fund to the Nursing Home Fund.
Is there a second? Second by Mr. Esri. Discussion. See none, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Anderson, did you move, thank you, Ms. Furtado. Mr. Anderson, would you do the next one, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that we enter into closed session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C11 to consider litigation which is probable or imminent against Champaign County. I further move the following individuals remain present: Susie Koenig, SAK Management; Flora Resnick, SAK Management; Diane Michaels, County Auditor; John Farney, County Treasurer; Barbara Mann, County Legal Counsel; Deb Busey, County Administrator, and the Recording Secretary.
Ms. Reitz, are you going to join us or not? We could add, legal counsel. So you can add her name to it. Let's put her on the record.
Yes, Julie
And
Reitz.
Okay, is there a second? Second by Mr. Goss. Roll call, please.
Summers. Tinsley.
Yes.
Anderson. Clemens. Clifford.
Yes.
Coert. Cruz. Esri.
Yes.
Furtado. Goss.
Yes.
Harper. Hartke. King. Marsh.
Yes.
McGuire. Mitchell. Patterson.
Yes.
Petrie.
Yes.
Rector. Store. Weibel.
Yes, we'll go into closed session. We will move into the room next door, and we'll be coming back out when that's over. After that, we'll have a short break, and then we'll start the regular call meeting.